Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It depends upon when you're listening or what year you're listening in. I feel like we haven't been here in forever. I think we were here this calendar year, but I don't know. But hey, Chevar.
Hey, I don't know if we. It's been a while. It's been a while. It's definitely been a while. If not, it would have been the end of the last year, which is 2023. But I hope we did one within this year, at least to start the year. And Ronnie and I have been talking. In particular, Ronnie, we're going to be putting out more episodes. We got to do this, and I agree. But Ronnie, I want to point something out. You might not have noticed. You wearing my favorite color. I'm wearing my favorite color.
Oh, look at that. Talk about, synchronicity.
Absolutely.
We still got it, Chevar. We still got it.
Absolutely.
But welcome to the solution. We forgot to welcome him.
Yes.
So out of rhythm here, but welcome to the solution. Nothing changes if we change nothing. We're with the New York City Prevention Resource Center that operates out of the Children's Aid Youth Division. So we're really happy to be here. The reason we haven't been here is because we've been so busy with our work, developing coalitions and supporting them throughout New York City. And boy, they are bustling.
Absolutely. I just want to do a real quick callback to a few moments ago. I wanted to mention to those who can't see us, my favorite color is purple. By the way, we both have purple T-shirts on. So I just wanted to acknowledge those who are listening and not on visual. So for those of you guys who are listening, my favorite color is purple. And Ronnie and I both wear purple today. But it's been a while. We see each other. Often. But as far as the recording, it's been a while. And I'm excited. If you can hear my voice, we both came back from vacation. We both needed time away.
Yes.
And
I needed a lot of...
Go for it, Ron. I'm sorry.
I needed a lot of days of just doing nothing.
Absolutely. And the irony of that, I had a conversation with someone last night about the importance of vacationing. And I asked, how do you define vacationing? Vacation looks different for each person. And we have to allow people to vacation the way they want. Sometimes it's laying in your backyard. That is vacation. Vacating the work that you normally do.
It totally is for me. I mean, and you know me, I do not check my email. I don't do anything that's work related because it's healthy for me to be able to just take that time. But we're back. Summer in the city, back of my neck, getting dirty and gritty. As I quote an old song, it has been hot in New York City. And with New York City heat, usually comes, trends of more drug use. And I have to say, walking around, our central office and just seeing people in the street, it's not a pretty scene. It breaks my heart. But I was just reading some positive news. I was thinking, before we came on the air today, I said, I really need to look and see what the trend has been. And for the first time in a while, I found something real positive. The most recent Monitoring the Future survey, which was administered in 2023, showed teen drug use going down, pretty much holding steady since it went down during the pandemic and, being on the downward side. And that's amazing. And that tells me something. Prevention works.
That's amazing news, especially, and I always talk about this since you met Ronnie, about the importance of support for youth, for anyone, but youth in particular, because that's what we focus on, is supports for them, because in the summer, like I'm a child of the inner city, and I always say, I didn't get in trouble during the school year. All my antics happened in the summer. All my antics happened during the summer.
That still remains to be seen for the summer. But yeah, I think about it. Yeah, that's when I got in the most trouble.
I mean, and not saying that, we did or I didn't get in trouble during the school year, but it wasn't, I kept busy, focused on school and sports. But when and I always state this when summer came around, if I didn't have activities, I'm going to do what a teenager does. I'm going to I'm going to do what any person does. I'm going to make an activity.
That's right.
And I don't want to only put it on teens and seem like I'm bashing teens because I'm all for teen individuality, but like I said, adults we find time, we make mistakes. So I've never punched down on a young person or did my best to anyone and say, you made a mistake, you made a difficult decision, and you made it. I don't want to even say difficult. You made a decision. it may have caused like a consequence, whether they're good or bad. So, but yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I've been saying this message for like as long as you've known me, like I haven't changed. You know, in the cover of my book match the pages in my book, in the chapter in my book. So
That's so true. You are who you say you are, and I think that's something we both have in common.
mhm,
We are who we say we are,
mhm,
and the way we approach life is the same way we approach our work in prevention.
mhm, mhm,
With honesty, integrity, dedication, and creativity.
mhm. No, I definitely want to applaud Ronnie, you know, because she's right. You know, she is who she says she is. She doesn't sugarcoat things. And I'm not saying like she comes out brass and like, oh, man, no. She tells you the truth. Because, you know, he'll like, you know, I'm going to be blunt. And they just say things very offensive, what have you. And that's not blunt. You're just being a jerk. You know, like it is blunt, but just keep in mind when it comes back to you in your direction, how do you receive it? Are you able to receive that same kind of feedback? So like, so I'm not into the harsh turn down of feedback. So I don't give it. I give feedback, but not to tear you down. It's to how you to build you up. You know, and also to be honest, similar to Ronnie, like she'll tell you, and she's honest as possible. You know, and not only with others but within herself. You know, she always talks about her recovery. She always talks about her marriage. She doesn't hide. She doesn't hide anything. You know, and if she has a viewpoint, as the youngins say now, she stands on business, right? And what that means is she sticks to her guns, you know, and she continues. And she doesn't sway, right? She stands on what she believes, and this is another way of me giving flowers. We did a whole episode on giving flowers. This is me, and I'm always going to give flowers to Ronnie. From the day I met her, I called her a rock star, and she blushed. I've never seen her. I never knew her before, but I've seen her blush. Was with
You do make me blush when you say that.
because Ronnie, you are a rock star, you know, and when people they mention you,
Thank you.
they speak glowing of you, you know, and even those who say, you know, she's harsh or she tells the truth, but it isn't as if you are doing it to be malicious in that, you know, it comes across as
I try not to be.
go for it, speak your piece,
but I do blush because we do the best we can do, and I always joke. Well, I've been around a long time, so a lot of people know me. But you get to a stage in your life where you just don't have any more patience for just putting on pretenses and being someone you're not, and you start to believe in who you are, and you want to share it. And I see that in you as well. I mean, you're the real deal.
Appreciate it.
I think that's one of the reasons we get along so well, because we have so much respect for each other. But I also understand it takes people, and myself included, a long time to get there. And we go to times in life when we do have setbacks, where we start to doubt where we're at, and am I doing the right thing? And the day I stop doing that is the day that I'm not growing anymore. So I really try to do that on a daily basis, to look, have I done anything today that I need to think about and do differently? How could I have done it differently? Because I can be a jerk. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes my passion overcomes my sense of self and my sense of what's right, and I can be a jerk. But it's funny because when I first got into recovery, we would always talk about old behaviors, and it started to occur to me, if I'm doing it today, it's not an old behavior. It's a current behavior, and I need to deal with it.
and those are the trains in the background.
The train that's right that you're sitting in front of, right?
Yeah, that.
Oh, it was so hot down in that station yesterday.
Oh.
Woo! It was like a steam bath sitting down there. New York really does get hot during the summer.
And I appreciate the fact that you're very self-aware. You said you're a jerk, right? You said that with all honesty, with no hesitation, and being self-aware and being able to identify. People are always going to point out what's wrong with you, right? But being able to say, you know what, this is what I struggle with, and I know it, right? And I'm not doing it to intentionally hurt you, because like even with me, I might say things, and I'll come back and say, you know what, I made a mistake. I was in as they say, I was in my feelings. And admitting that, I think, is important. Like, I was in my feelings. Hey, how can we work around it? Let's move forward. And like you said, it takes time, and you function in what's called the growth. This term, but for those who don't, you function in what's called the growth mind. Right? You aren't fixed or on a particular thing where it's like it has to be done this way forever and ever. And no matter what the data says, or no matter what the repercussions, I'm going to stick to my guns. That's not who you are. You're like, wait a minute. All right, okay, I was wrong. Let me change. Let me fix this. Now you'll always go for it. Go for it.
Some things never change, and that's our guest arrive where you're in the middle of a great thought.
But I want to say this last thing before I let them in.
Okay.
You have always said, you always spoke about what you learned from the staff or people around you. You always say, you know what, I didn't know these things, right? And you taught me. Like, when I first came on, Venus, you said, Venus taught me these things. Venus is like my sister, shout out to her. But I think for me, that's the important part, is to not only acknowledging yourself, but acknowledging the people who are around you. And also, paying it forward and saying, you know what, this is what I learned from this person. This is what you can adapt to you. And I apologize for our guest who are waiting, because I wanted to make sure I get that out. And like you said, things never change. And let me let our guest in.
Something.
It's something right. Never change. And these are good non-changeable, non-negotiables, right? Where people show up in the midst of me giving some dialogue about a conversation. I think that right there is a non-negotiable, never changing event that I will appreciate to the end of time. And Ronnie, I'm going to hand it back over to you, because I'm a talker, and we have some guests on here who are talkers also. We want to allow them to talk also. Go for it, Ronnie.
Yes, and I noticed that my feed froze for a minute there, so that might have gotten a little funky. But hey, we got our guests here, and the most beautiful part of that is they're part of our current team. So these people are no strangers to us, but we want to do some updates. So with that being said, I am going to welcome them both in. And first, I'm going to ask Milo, introduce yourself again, because you are here at a different capacity now, and we want people to know about that. So talk to us.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Milo. My pronouns are he, him, and they, them. I am a community development specialist, the NYC PRC. I used to be community development specialist for NYC Pop, but I've now stepped into the role of CDS with the PRC since our teammate Nanor left us. Now I'm stepping into this new role and handing the role of NYC Pop over to Fatima.
Talk to us, Fatima. Tell everybody who you are. Okay, we're not hearing you, so your volume for some reason isn't happening. So I'll give you a minute to check that out. But in the meantime, we didn't mention that, yes, Nanor did leave, and that was back in February. And we were just so appreciative for the incredible work that she did.
Hi, I hope that's better now.
Okay, and we're going to let you tell everybody who you are.
Hi, I hope that's better now.
It's much better.
My name is Fatima. I recently graduated from Rutgers University with a Bachelor's of Science in Public Health and a minor in Public Policy. I also just as of last month started my role here at NYC Pop as a Community Development Specialist, and I look forward to working with you all.
And we are so excited to have her here. And we're seeing some great work being done. All right. Should we start off by asking them both some questions, or Chevar, you going to have?
Let's dive into it. I'll ask, if for those who are listeners and viewers, you know how this works. I also participate as a listener, so I may ask a question that is not have been approved or sent to the guest. It is pretty much based off of your answers, and like I said, as a listener, a little bit more clarity. But before we start there, first question for Milo or I said Nanor. I gotta give her a call today. Milo, Fatima, I apologize for that. Whoever wants to go first, please. What brought you into this work of prevention?
I can go first. So even before I started college, like back in high school, I started working as a volunteer for a nonprofit organization focused on substance use prevention among youth. And we focused on various types of use. So it was tobacco use, cannabis use, alcohol use. And we did a lot of community outreach and marketing types of events. So that's what really got my foot into the door. And also just like meeting with different people who might have family members or loved ones affected by this issue kind of really brought me home, because a lot of people may lack the resources needed or education needed to make a positive difference in either their lives or their loved ones' lives. So that's what really brought me home to this. And yeah, just look forward to making a positive difference in the community.
I want to say I love the fact that you said brought me home.
Me too. Do we have a title for the podcast today?
Brought me home. Yes, I love the fact that you said brought me home. But I have a quick question before Milo jumps in. What was the name of that organization? Because the irony of it is when we interviewed you, it had a similar sounding title of the program you were running now. What was the name of that organization? You remember what you told us?
Yeah, there's Partners of Prevention.
Which is crazy, right? One of the craziest things, and it was in Jersey, Partners in Prevention, which is in Jersey, and you come over to New York City, you're running Partners of Prevention, which is so amazing and so great. And we brought you home. I love that. I love that. Milo, let's go.
I think I've shared this before about how I got into prevention on this podcast, but I'll give my whole spiel again. I first started working actually in HIV prevention after I graduated college. I then started working in substance misuse prevention with the same organization doing substance misuse prevention for an LGBT coalition here in Brooklyn. And that kind of transition from doing like HIV prevention in the LGBT community to substance misuse prevention in the community just made a lot of sense to me. Seeing, I think we say it's a lot like prevention is prevention is prevention. The issues are so intertwined. It really showed me also like how important it is to do this work, in the LGBT community specifically, which I'm a part of. So that's really what got me started, is like doing this work in a community that I'm a part of. Not only do I live in the community in Brooklyn, but I'm also part of the LGBT community. And, I really saw how important doing this work is for various different communities. And now here with the PRC, I get to serve so many different communities across New York City doing substance misuse prevention. And, that's really what gets me passionate about this work, is serving my community, serving other communities, helping coalitions serve their communities. For me, it really goes back to that like community organizing aspect and the importance of, substance misuse prevention as one of many different types of prevention when it comes to, behavioral health, substance misuse, things like that.
Thank you, Milo, for indulging in repeating something you shared with us before. But, we might have some new listeners, and Fatima didn't hear that before, so this is the first for Fatima. Ronnie, you unmuted yourself. I'll go for it.
Yeah, sometimes it just amazes me because what we hear across the field is how hard it is to find people who have prevention backgrounds. And I always feel like we hit the jackpot. I mean, to have two people who are very young still in this, but still have more experience in this field than people that we meet who are way older. And to get somebody who's excited and just on ground level of this profession, it has been amazing watching. I mean, when Milo first encountered us, we encountered Milo. Milo, you were working with Canva, and and Brooklyn Yaz, and Milo was coming to our networking meetings, and we were very impressed. We said, "Wow, Milo is like really, really knowledgeable." And then Milo did this incredible training on doing Google Maps and how to personalize it to your community with the substance use trends, and that took off, and people wanted to do it. So when the position opened, and Milo applied, we were like celebrating in the office. Oh my God, look who's applied for the job. Somebody who we really were excited about. And then this last time we advertised, and when Fatima applied, we saw her background and we said, I can't believe it. She's got such a great background in prevention. It's so rare to find it. So we are so excited about the team we have. We've all got such a great background in prevention. I mean, although Chevar didn't have the formal background in prevention, he had a prevention background. As I said to him, prevention takes many forms, and he was doing prevention for years, just, maybe outside the lines a little bit, but it still has the same effect. So I'm just, hearing them talk about it makes me want to hear that again anyway, because it excites me. We're looking at the future. Look, I've been around a long time. I'm not going to be here forever, though I'm not going anywhere soon. But it's nice to know the future's in good hands. So I just had to throw that out there.
They came home.
They came home.
They are home. I think they are home. And Milo knows that I shout Milo out, and I appreciate Milo and the work that Milo's doing. But let's move forward. So let's think about your current roles. This question is for both. This can be for all of us, Ronni. If you even want to answer this question, you go for it. You know, think about your current role that you have right now. I know Milo, you transitioned over to the PRC aspect of it. What are your, if any, future goals moving forward? I mean, go first if you want. You go for it, Milo.
No, I mean, I could just say, like, first of all, I'm just very excited to see Fatima come into this role as the CDS with Pop. You know, it's been really great to see over the past month how she's been starting to become like more comfortable doing everything with Pop, getting to know all of our coalitions more. I'm really excited for both of us to see, you know, how she grows in that role, how I can help her. And then also for myself, like, I'm excited to keep working with the same coalitions, but just in a different capacity. Very similar capacity. Our works are very, you know, we work as a team. That's how we've always worked. But I'm just excited to keep the work moving forward, work with the same coalitions, just a little bit differently, help them meet some of their deliverables, help them, you know, with some of the different aspects of coalition work, and to just really, you know, kind of pass the torch over to Fatima as she comes into the role with Pop.
Milo, do you have any particular goals for yourself?
That's actually a great question. I was actually going to say that. I mean, so next month I'm starting my master's degree in public health.
Ooh.
So that's like my big personal goal right now is to get my master's in public health. I'm focusing in community health and social sciences. So the program is really tailored for folks that like already work in a public health. This is a public health field in many ways. I know that often it's not like labeled as such, but substance misuse prevention is a big is a part of public health. So I want to keep growing in this field. I really am trying to get my master's. My program is really about trying to work in community health programs, which we already kind of do. So I'm just really excited to like use my education to learn more, to grow professionally and personally, and to take what I learn, you know, as I'm going through my grad program and like be able to bring it to our coalition, to the communities that we work with. And to grow more in this like community health field, because like I said, I'm really passionate about serving different communities. That's why I chose this specific program in community health, so I can, you know, learn more and keep this work growing. And I'm just excited to see what grad school brings for me. I've been out of school for a while, like over 5 years. I'm just excited to see what this is like to, you know, enter this like new chapter of like being in school and working. I know I can do it though, because I did work full time in undergrad too. So I'm not worried about that part. I already know I can do it, but I'm excited for all of the changes that it's going to bring.
Thank you, Milo. Fatima, in your current role, do you have any goals moving forward?
So I would say personally for me, goals moving forward would be just to like engage coalitions, increase interactiveness and engagement, and just listen to everyone's voices and their opinions so that we can all bring about a solution to any kind of situation that we might be tackling at that point. And just like, yeah, making a difference in the community.
By the way, you said a solution, because this is the solution. This is our podcast. Your one-liners are amazing, Fatima. Your one-liners are amazing. Quick goal moving forward for me is continue to be more concise in my work, you know, and be more targeted with the supports that I give to my team and to the coalitions that we work with, but also to have fun in the same vein, you know, thinking outside of the box, right? How do you implement those outside of the box thoughts into a structured system? Because like I'm always like, right, this is cool and all, but it's boring. And that's just Chevar, I'm sorry. But how do we make it more exciting? How do we make it more less lectury, but more participatory with the partners or the clients, wherever you, or us in particular, or other PRCs or other prevention agencies throughout the country? How do we make it more palatable for everyone? So that everyone say, you know what can I take from this? You know, because I know for me, at least when I'm in a speaking to someone and they're more engaging, I'm more inclined to listen and to take back what they've given me. So that's my goal, is to continue that, but also being more intentional with the work that I'm doing. I just wanted to share that. Ronnie, do you any thoughts? If not, it's okay.
Well, no, I always have thoughts and I always have goals because this is an ongoing thing. We've watched, I mean, I've been here 10 years and we've watched everything change for the better and develop. And I listen to everybody. I'm thinking one of my goals is to continue the cohesiveness of this team and see this team shine. Every person, if everybody can shine in their respective roles, we shine as a team. And one of the things I always say is a team is only as strong as when its leader is not there, that the team can still function in optimum capacity. And this team can. And it's making sure that everybody has the opportunity to grow and shine. And same with our coalitions. We've gotten a lot more organized over the last few years, and we've really gotten it to where we're staying on track with people and we're targeting things more. And I want to continue that as well, to help people meet their deliverables, but do it in a way that speaks to them and speak to their souls. Because we have to do this work on more than just what it's prescribed. We have to do it in a way that speaks to us and that makes our souls feel like they've been satisfied. So that's a concise way of looking at it for me.
Thank you, Ronnie. Normally we don't interview each other or answer questions. And I think this is a callback to our very, very first episode where we had two other partners at the time. And we actually share what each of us did. So I think this is a good callback to that. And us answering those questions, Ronnie, I think it's actually really important that we do that also. So next question, all right? And I want you to put in your thinking caps for this one. You might have seen the question already, but that's okay. You just play along with me. This is a two-part question, right?
Oh yeah, and a little disclaimer, because we don't want to be like some of the news outlets. We have shared these questions in advance.
Oh yes,
but we expound on them.
Yes.
So I a little pun there with what's going on in our news these days. I'll leave it.
Thank you, Ronnie, for that. We always need to laugh. So again, jump in when you're ready. What do you like best about prevention work? And it's two-part. What do you find the most challenging about the work that we do? As the sirens go by in New York City. Fatima, you have it? You ready?
Yeah, I can start. In terms of what I like best so far, I mean, I've only started my role as of last month, but what I can see is that people are very enthusiastic and interested in this topic. So I like the passion that people have in moving the mission forward. In terms of the challenges, sometimes it could be hard to get everyone on the same page, especially when everyone's ideas are just so good. So that could be a little bit challenging. So finding like that balance, that boundary of making sure that everyone's voices are heard, but also finding that something that's feasible.
So, quick question, Fatima. We're gonna expound on that. We're gonna chase it a little bit. The challenges. Do you have any thoughts on how you can address those? I know you said it's hard to get people on the same page. But any ideas or things you figured, or if you don't, that's totally fine. Like how would you address your challenges? And how would you continue your successes? Come on. This is what we call grows and glows.
So in terms of that particular challenge, so far I'm still working on it, figuring out how we can have everyone on the same page. It's easier said than done,
Absolutely.
definitely. But yeah, I'm still working on that. But hopefully by the next podcast, I'll have an answer for you for that.
That's totally fine.
But yeah.
How do you continue your what you are doing great at? What's your secret sauce?
I would say continue like having one-on-one meetings and just networking with people. What I've seen is when you're willing to send a Zoom invitation, or even if it's like have a coffee with someone just to meet one-on-one, it shows respect, obviously number one, and it also shows the seriousness, like you're actually serious about the work that you're doing and you want to ensure that goals are being met and objectives are being met. So just like continuing to network and meet with individuals, I feel like would be very helpful.
Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else?
Yeah, I just want to jump in there too, and remind everybody that Fatima's been on the job a little over a month, and look how far you've come already. I mean, really, it's pretty incredible. And I also want to remind people what POP is, because, we may have some new listeners or people who haven't listened in a while. And I'm going to do my 60-second elevator speech. During the early days of the pandemic, we got together with two Bronx coalitions. They wanted to do something on social media to get to the message across in prevention, because nobody was meeting in person. And they wanted to do it in the Bronx. We said, why just do it in the Bronx? Let's do it citywide. We'll create all these social media posts and everyone will post them. We'll work together. It started like that. Well, here we are over 4 years later, a little over 4. And it's a lot more. Today, it's a standalone. I'd say POP as kind of a coalition or a consortium. We'll say a consortium. So it's a New York City Partners for Prevention. It's a consortium of all of the people in New York who work in prevention, who are the providers, who are the coalition members and leaders, and they work together to create this incredible change. They're working on an environmental strategy around cannabis, which hopefully we'll get to talk about for a few minutes at the end of our time together. And it's really, really thriving. So I just also want to say to anybody who's watching or listening, if you want to be a part of this, you don't even have to be in the field. You just have to have an interest in wanting to prevent substance misuse, particularly among young people, but across the lifespan. And we'll give you that information. It'll be, I think usually we post the information how to get in touch with people. But I just wanted to throw that out there. And POP has really evolved. So we're doing a lot of great work, and we're very proud of where we've come. All right. Milo, you want to?
Yeah, I mean, and also just to kind of piggyback a little bit first about about POP and the work we're doing. We're really excited to see it grow, to see the work keep growing and changing. We're hoping to have a town hall in October to bring people together that want to learn more about what we do, but that also just be part of the conversation about why is prevention important, especially cannabis prevention among youth. Why should you, as a parent or as a teacher, an educator, or just a community member, why should you know about this issue? Why should you care about this issue? So we're really hoping, this fall to bring people together around this issue. And I'll say, to kind of segue into the question about what I like best about prevention work is the collaborative work, is the collaborative element about it. I love the ability to work with so many different people from so many different walks of life, from so many different, backgrounds, and to see how we can all tackle issues together, how we can find commonalities among difference. Especially, New York City is so diverse in so many different ways. I think that often, folks from outside of the city don't really see that aspect of it, is that our communities, our neighborhoods are kind of like microcosms of themselves. And so that also presents a challenge of there's a lot going on that we have to work around together, that we have to find those commonalities in order to tackle these issues. But I often find that when you're able to bring people to the table who at least, we all want to work around a common goal, like preventing cannabis use among youth, that alone is how we start the conversation and then go forward on, how do we find those commonalities among our differences? How do we, meet these different challenges? And I'll also say, I think that Ronnie said this earlier about it's more, prevention work is more than just meeting our different deliverables. That's always going to be a part of it, but we have to find the work that really is meaningful to us and meet our communities where they're at to get that work done. Because, we as prevention providers, people that are in the field, we can have all sorts of different ideas about, what needs to be done to tackle an issue, what is the right way to get things done. But without the input from communities, without the input from the people that are, the people that we're serving, that's not, the work can't really get done without them. So that's I think both one of my favorite things about prevention work is the difficulty of it in many ways, is the fact that it takes a lot to bring people together. But I think that is really worthwhile. And to, face those challenges of meeting our deliverables, but at the same time doing the work that you said, Ryan, speaks to our soul, that speaks to the needs of our communities, that of the people that we're serving.
I'm going to come back to you, right, Milo? I want you to share a little bit more about, and I'm doing my my radio talk voice. uh, uh, you how do you address those challenges? I want to say address. How do you navigate those challenges? I want to use that word, navigate those challenges. You know, when you are having those situations, and any advice for someone who's listening and who are dealing with multiple groups who have different ways of doing things, and you know, and everyone. And I always say, just be mindful of when you invite someone new in, they're going to try to push their initiative, right? How do you bring them back? Like, what is the challenge, and how, like you mentioned, but how do you navigate those?
Well, I mean, you know, especially when it comes to like a coalition, like this is why I think that we often stress like things like a mission and vision are so important to remind us like these are the things that we've already agreed are at the heart of what we're doing. So even though, you know, we may have different you know, initiatives that we want to start, like maybe someone wants to focus on, you know, alcohol prevention, but then someone else wants to do cancer prevention, then they want to do it differently, XYZ. We go back to like our mission and our vision. We go back to, you know, rediscussing like why it is we came to this table together. Also, like when it comes to like, you know, specifically like implementing like an environmental strategy or like trying to get a specific thing done. I know that like we kind of say this a lot, but data, like we need to always remind ourselves of like what the data is showing us we want to do, because we can all have so many different ideas of like what we think needs to be done. But we also need to like make sure that we're not just doing things based off of like our personal opinions. We're actually, again, like serving our communities, like seeing that, okay, this is the problem in the community. You know, we might just be hearing from folks that we know that like, oh, this is what's going on, but we need to make sure that we have something that's showing us what the real problem is, like get to the heart of the problem, making sure we're addressing the real problem, making sure the data's there, and then reminding us all again, like, you know, we have a mission and vision. This is why we came together. This is, you know, getting it back to that. And then also like being willing to compromise and like find solutions. Like, you know, for example, we're planning this town hall. We have lots of different ideas. Everybody has great ideas. Some of them aren't going to be fit for a town hall, and that's fine. Then we address that later down the line. We do, you know, we take some of these ideas and put them into a town hall. Then maybe a year from now, some of the other ideas we're having, maybe we have a different type of event. You know, there's also ways to compromise to stay both on focus, but also make sure that the folks that are involved feel like their ideas are being heard and validated, and that their ideas are important. Especially, you know, as long as it's really relating to like the core of what we're doing, because that can, and we were discussing this earlier, like this can also be the challenge of like working with communities, is that people will come in with all sorts of ideas and all sorts of questions that like you've never even thought of, that might not be relevant at all. Finding a way to make it relevant and finding a way to like incorporate those ideas, if it's not for this specific thing, then like later down the line. And putting it all into the big picture of like why we're doing this, what we're doing, and again, like going back to like why we all got together, you know, why we're all sitting at this table together in the first place.
Yeah, and this applies not just to POP, but to coalitions in general. And I mean, and just hearing Milo discuss this is what coalitions go through. And we see this on a daily basis in working with our coalitions. Getting everybody to the table and finding a way to work together is key. Now, I always say this too. My famous mantra, it takes 3 to 5 years to get a coalition to the point where it can do that work. Usually the first 3 years are building the foundation. So it's a lot of work. And you mentioned something earlier about prevention being tough, and it is, because we don't see the immediate, responses to our work. We don't see what happens right away. We see things 10, sometimes 15 years down the line. Because you have to lay the groundwork. You've got to do the prevention work. And then it takes a while to take effect. I mean, I used to work in the schools in New York City, and it took years, decades, to see the work that we put in pay off in our students. I mean, it paid off from day one because we were providing them with a lot of love and a lot of structure and a lot of an environment that was going to allow them to thrive. And when I go on social media, and 27 years after I left that work in New York City in the schools, although I've been continuing in prevention, I see my former students thriving. But it took a good 15, 20 years to even get to that place. So we plant seeds. It takes a while for those seeds to develop and flower and bloom and reach the point where they can really become what they're meant to be. So I just want to put it out there. Chevar, I'm looking at the time though, and we're almost to the end of the time. So I think we got to maybe ask our famous question.
Well, I don't wish we have two of them. I'm trying to figure out which one would be the best to ask.
I'm going to leave it up to you.
Let's do the original one. When you were
Okay.
7 years old, 8-year-old, 9-year-old. Milo, you probably answered this question before, so I'm going to give you a different question. Because I want to be fair to Milo. For Fatima, when you were 7, 8, 9 year old, when you were 7, 8, 9 year old, what did you want to be when you became an adult? Whether it's a ballerina or a president, what was it that thing you wanted to be?
A teacher.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Why a teacher?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't know if it's like a kid's thing, but I feel like every kid wants to be a
This is true.
teacher when they're young. I guess just because of how nice my teachers were, but later down the road, I was like, yeah, this is a no for me.
I think the
But I do
teacher,
admire the work that teachers do.
Mhm.
I do have to give them credit, but
absolutely.
personally, like I don't see myself in that career.
I think the teacher thing, as a young person, you see that as an authority figure, right? So you can so when you be the teacher of your friends, you get to tell them what to do because the teacher tells everyone else to do what to do. So that's what I equated. So wait a minute, this is kids being bullies. Not you, Fatima, but kids being bullies. Milo,
Also, a teacher is such a positive influence.
absolutely,
Often,
absolutely.
not always.
Not always.
See, I wanted to be a veterinarian or a rock star. So
Had to whisper that because you hate when I say it. Milo,
I don't hate it.
okay.
Be humble.
Milo, your question is a little bit different, right? If you were to have a conversation with your teenage self, what would your teenage self tell you as the adult? Not the adult telling the teenager. If the teenager saw you as the adult right now, they walked over and you said, "Hey, Milo, what's going on?" what would they say to you?
See, this is actually really interesting because I often think about this a lot. Because when I was a teenager, I think that I took everything way too seriously. Like I thought that by now I'd be like a lawyer that I've been practicing for like X number of years. Like I think that I thought way too far ahead as a teenager. And with time, I've realized that like life is very long. Like you don't have to like.
See, Milo, you're skirting the question. You're talking as the adult.
I know, no, but this is the thing
sorry,
that
go
I
ahead.
possibly my teenage self would just be like, would wonder like, how did we get where we are today?
Understood.
Why did we make the choices that we did? But also like to always remember to like, I've always cared a lot about making a difference in the world. So I think that also like my teenage self would want to know like, why are we doing what we're doing today?
Right.
And how is it making a difference?
Right.
Where are you trying to make a difference in this world? But I like I said, like I think that I didn't really always have like a very realistic concept of like where I would be at this point in life.
I don't think
So-
I listed.
I know my teenage self might be like, "What are you doing?" Like, but that's because I've realized with time that like again, like life is very long. I don't have
Absolutely.
to right out the jump. And also that, you have a long time to meet the goals that you have. So my teenage self might ask me like, why are we where we are today? What difference are we making? And I know I'd have a great response because I
Yeah,
think that-
go for it, Milo, because I interrupted you really, and I apologize.
No, you're
Tell
good,
tell
no.
your teenage self this is what it is. Go ahead, Milo. Tell your teenage self right now.
It's just that, again, like I've always dealt with this of like taking things very seriously, being very hard on myself. I would just tell myself like it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be fine. Like everything works out in its own time. You don't have to set, you don't have to meet your goal. Like you don't have to have a 5-year plan at the age of like 15. You know what I'm saying? Like the type of teenager that I was is that I was like, I know that I'm, even today, like a very like, I'm a very like organized person. I like a lot of structure, but I think as a teenager, somehow I was just very much always trying to I was very driven, and I still am today, but I think it was maybe in an unrealistic way that wasn't super healthy mentally. So, I think as an adult, I would just say to myself, like, calm down, it's going to be okay. Life is very long. You don't have to be, accomplished like XYZ by the minute you graduate college, and also just that you realize as you get older how your interests change, but how you still stay like true to yourself. So that's the thing. I think my teenage self might ask, like, how is this, true to who we are? But I have a great answer. That is that this is who we are. Serving our community is who we are. I never thought that I'd get into public health. This kind of came just like as I've been in this field more and as I've understood more how important public health is to the world, like how it is to our communities here in New York City. I think I've just changed a lot since then. And so my teenage self might just be kind of confused, but it makes a lot of sense now.
You have an amazing
answer. Interesting. It's just interesting though, Milo, that your teenage self is still asking the questions. Because I was thinking, what would my teenage self say? I'd be like, play your damn guitar.
Exactly.
That would be my day. That's what we're about. Play your guitar. Why are you playing? No, but it's a great answer.
I do want to share, Milo. A lot of us share some of the teenage self to you, and I would say, as far as my teenage self, things that I had planned out always happened, right? But when I reached a certain age, I'm like, wait a minute, it didn't make sense to me. So I was the same way. By this age, this is gonna happen. By this age, this is gonna happen. They were happening, so I believe that you put it out and it happened, and something happened. They say, how do you pivot? How do you move from there? And I think what you're saying is to your young self, hey, this is my response. Life is long. And I think that's a great response. Life is long.
That's the thing. My teenage self would be like, what do you mean you waited like over 5 years to go to graduate? Like it doesn't have to happen at a certain time. As you get older, you realize that, and that like it's great to have goals, but it's also, you can't put unrealistic expectations on yourself. That's not healthy, and you just need to let yourself live, let yourself experience things and change as you grow. I ended up studying something in college I didn't even know existed as a teenager. You know what I'm saying? Like you just learn it.
Well, on that note, I think we heard some really great words of wisdom. We're at that time, we're actually a little overtime, so we're going to have to, you had great stuff to say. We think people want to hear it. But let's, Chevar and I will close out the show, but we thank our team members for being here today. We're so proud of them. We're so happy with our team. We wanted everybody else to know about them in the same way we do. Even though a lot of you already knew Milo, now you know more about Milo. And you've met Fatima, and we're ready to go. So you guys, we'll see you soon. And Chevar and I will stick around and close out the show. Thanks for coming today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us. Have a good day.
All right. You too. See you later.
Amazing day. It's hot out there. Stay cool.
We have such an incredible team. Oh
absolutely. That was fun. I love their responses, and Fatima with her one-liners. She was the name of our show this episode rather early on. They were great, man. They are great. That word, they are great, and then, or shout out to YouTube. Inadvertently said you. Yes, we do miss you. We do miss you. But it's about the team that we
as we
go for it.
I'm sorry. As we close the show today too, I think I want to make a statement and a promise that we are not going to wait 6 months to do our next show. We hope to be back in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yes.
We're going to get more consistent because prevention has so much going on, and we have to share it because we want to know it works. And Chevar, take us out.
Hey, another great episode of The Solution. And guess what? Nothing changes if we change nothing.
Have a good one.